And so what they did was they taught our women, they trained our women to think that if you don't raise your sons to fear me, this is what I would do to them. So women with the maternal instincts are going to do everything they can in their power to protect their children naturally. So what happened is you take your child and you raise him to fear his oppressor. Then when he's grown and he goes off and it's time for him to marry, he can't be a man. So this is why so when you look at what's going on now, you see it being perpetuated. You're raising your children in fear. You can't have a man in the house. You think you're independent, but you're not independent because you depend on the government. So you're not as independent as you think you are. You're just independent of your man. And so these little girls, this is what they see. So they grow up thinking they don't need a man. I don't need a man because the government says, well, I'll do anything for you as long as you don't have a man. Oh, okay, he don't want to give you any money. Well, bring me his information. I'll take money out of his check and make sure that you get it. So welfare in our community, it should have been a stepping stone. And I tell brothers, this is why I wish we had more brothers in the room for it. If you meet a woman and she's a part of a Section 8 program and she's on welfare, use that as a stepping stone. Use that as a tool. Use that as a way to save. Use that as a way to move out of that and then come back and teach others how to get out of that program because it's a program. They're targeting our children. So we go from the dismantling of the Black Panther Party to the women's right movement. Then we look at the women's right movement. The women's right movement has given birth to the LBGT, what I call the ABC community. They've given birth to the ABC community. The ABC community has given birth to the transgenderism community. When you look at even transgenderism now they're trying to make it okay for transgender men to go into the same restroom as little girls. That's not okay. But they're trying to do that. So then when you look at the transgender, so we go from the civil rights movement to the women's rights. This is the agenda of the government. We go from the civil rights movement to the women's rights movement, which gave birth to the ABC community, transgender community, and now they're trying to create pedophilia and make it legal. Now they're trying to say that it's no longer a mental illness. Or better yet, it's not a crime, but it's a mental illness. So if it's not a crime and it's a mental illness, what do? You don't put them in jail. You put them in a halfway home. You re-release them to the streets, and now they're in our communities. Again, they're creating a lawless environment. If we don't learn to protect our children, we're in big trouble. When you look at the fact that they're poisoning our food, our air, and our water supply, vaccines, they're vaccinating our children. They're targeting mainly the young black boys. The vaccines have been linked to ADHD. Am I saying that right, ADHD? Mm-hmm. Right, so vaccines are being linked to that. And our young black boys, they're dumbing them down. When you look at America as it relates to education, in the top 71 countries, America came in 38th in math. It's not good. 24th in science. America isn't raising its youth to compete with other competitors of the world. Mm-hmm. But America is often considered a cattle plantation. So we really running in circles. We're running on a hamster wheel. We can talk politics all day. We can talk education all day. But until we actually sit down in our households and we start having that man-woman connect, until the brothers actually stand up like what we have here, until the brothers actually stand up and we pull together and figure out what we need to do so that we can get our women back on track and our children back on track, because our women look to us. They look to us, but we don't have enough brothers that know that. So now what do you see? You see the brothers sit down, you see the women standing up. Y'all been fighting for too long. This is the argument. Women are going to have to stand up and ask, what about me? What about us? Because the question is not being asked. Everybody's comfortable. Nobody's really being accountable. Nobody's being responsible. Nobody cares. You understand what I'm saying? This is what we are now. Another thing that I want to cover before I end it. Okay. Something as simple as this. Life insurance. And I'll give you a story that was told to me. The reason why the Europeans and the Caucasians are so much farther ahead is because you got to understand, we can use slavery as a starting point. We say, okay, we wasn't allowed to read and write 400 years, right? As you stated earlier, the patriotic system that they put into play was to benefit them overall, financial, labor, blah, et cetera, benefit them. When you look at something like insurance, 41% of Americans are without life insurance. We live our day, we live our life every single day, but yet we don't want to pay for a $25, $35, $40 life insurance policy. So then when something happens to you, now everybody got to have a fish fry, and we got to figure out how we're going to pull it together so that we can bury you. But you've been living the entire time, and there's nothing to really get an insurance policy. They understand that. They understand wealth building. They understand what it means to leave something behind. We don't leave anything behind. And I give you this story from this guy. He worked at Primerica. I forget his name. He was a brother. And I went to a meeting, and he was just speaking. He's a millionaire. He was speaking, and he said when he became a millionaire at Primerica for selling life insurance, he said this white man walked up to him. He said, "Man, I've been seeing you. You've been real active. I'm very proud of you." He said, "But can I have a conversation with you?" The brother said, "Yes." He said, "Can we have a talk about black and white?" He said, "Sure." He said, "Let me ask you a question." He said, "First of all," he said, "I just want to say I respect black people. Black people have done a lot for this nation. They built this nation. I don't think they get treated fairly. They're not respected the way that they should. They don't have as much as they should. But let me ask you this question." He said, "Do you know your father?" Brother said, "Yeah, I know my father." He said, "Do you know your grandfather?" Brother said, "Yeah, I know my grandfather." He said, "Do you know your great-grandfather?" He dropped his head. He said, "I don't." He said, and the white man said, "That's because he didn't leave anything behind." See, you remember the ones that create the foundation. I went to school with your son, Rick, by the way. What's up, Rick? But I went to school with your son, Rick, by the way. So I knew then he was educated back then, but I never knew his mother before now. But it makes sense. When you say, you know, I started this in my front yard, and I had my two boys out there, and they were reading books, and then everybody else came and got on board, that makes sense. Because what happens is, until we understand what it means to break generational curses, we're going to continue to repeat those curses. Like you stated earlier, my brother, we live in a world to where everything is really about information. Everybody is just information hungry. They just want to have information, but they don't really know how to implement that. You know, we know it, but we don't really know what to do with it. You can lead, but you don't know where you're leading them to. You know, that's really the real world. So we have to break the generational curses. We have to realize that stuff like life insurance is important. We have to leave something behind. We have to create the foundation now. We have to lay out the concrete now. We have to have these tough conversations. But most importantly of all, I know you guys mentioned earlier about the front porch. You know, what about the front porch? And then you stated, well, a lot of times what happens is people are so consumed about this that they forget about the front porch. But I'm gonna take you inside the house. We need to talk about what's inside the house, because if my dishes ain't clean on the inside, I can't come to your house and complain about the dishes in your sink. So we need to have those conversations in home and talk about the disconnect that exists between the black man and the black woman in our community. The importance of voting, the importance of learning politics, the importance of building economic value and wealth, the importance of supporting black businesses. I've been promoting this app for so long, the Bob Spotter app. That's BOBSPOTTER. If it's listed, it will show you every black business in your community. So we have to learn to spend amongst each other and stop complaining, because most of us are not financially literate. When you're talking about the people that were oppressed for as long as we were oppressed, B.O.B. Okay, when you're talking about people that were oppressed for as long as we were oppressed, we're like behind by 400 to 500 years, 300, 400, 500 years. Now we're learning things that they've already been doing. Like, this is our land, but we've been tricked to believe that we're the minority. We're not even the minority, but we've been tricked to believe that we're the minority. Minority just means minor. That you can't think for yourself. That's how minority means, but you're not the minority. You are the majority. If they tell you to look right, look left. They tell you to look up, look down. They tell you to look in front, look behind you. Because no matter what, they're going to throw you off and try to have you looking in the other direction. There is a real government agenda here, and that's to keep us disconnected, to keep us silenced. They targeting our children. This is the reason why they removed the man, and what does that do for the woman? Now she has to work extra hard. Okay, well, if you're working extra hard, then who's raising your children? Social media, you're raising your children. TV is raising your children. Your children are raising themselves. The streets is raising your children. And then what do? You can't even fix them a real meal now. What do? We live in a microwave generation. Don't you know that the microwave, the same radiation that they use to treat chemotherapy is the same radiation that's coming out of your cell phone and your microwave? And this is what you're eating, and then over time, when you develop tumors and all of this kind of stuff going on with your body, you're trying to figure out why. Well, you've been feeding yourself radiation for 30, 40, 50 years. You put your food in the microwave. So this is what they do. They're targeting our children at birth. If I'm out of the house And she's working 2 jobs just to maintain for our children. When she comes home, she's not thinking about cooking a meal. She's thinking about stopping at the pizza joint, the burger joint. All of this stuff has soy in it. If you look at what soy is, it has the female hormone in it that's estrogen. Too much estrogen will alter your genetics. And this is why you see little girls starting to fill out a little bit more, and you're starting to see these little boys act feminine. It's an agenda. So until we actually talk about it and become more aware of it, they're gonna keep bombarding us with it. They're bombarding us with information. They're making us accept this. And we don't know it. We think it's about one thing when it's not even about nobody in this room. It's about that little girl right there. That's who it's about. That's who they're targeting. They don't care about me. When you were a child, it was about you. When we were children, me and you the same age. When we were children, it was about us. It's not about us no more. We're grown. We survived it. Thanks to our elders and our parents and our grandmothers and grandfathers, the uncles, and people that actually, came together and made sure that we made it. So now we have to be the same way. We have to be deliberate as it relates to these children, because it's not us. They're trying to remove us and control our children. The world that they're growing up in ain't the world that you grew up in. It ain't the world that we grew up in, but her world is going to be completely different. And a better way, let me acknowledge you. With you being the only child here, the future truly is yours. Attend these meetings as much as you can, because the seed is being planted. And I might not be around long enough to watch it hatch, but you will be the one that will change the world. And you just gotta know that. And on that note, I just want to leave y'all. Peace and love. Power to people.
I have a comment. I know we've been here long, but I have a comment.